Hello everyone, welcome to the I Teach TV network. I'm going to go ahead and turn this around. My name is Amy Harris and I'm a special ed teacher in Asheville, North Carolina. This is my 15th year as a teacher, and today I am going to share with you a little bit about ADHD and some strategies to help you with your students in your class who might struggle with those executive functioning problems. Hi Jenny. Saw a lot of great people coming in, some people I know, some people I don't know. Hi Martha. Be sure that you share this out if you have teacher followers that might be interested in this, or parents. I know this is something that a lot of parents struggle with. Hi Yolanda. Thank you for sharing. While people are coming in, I want to remind you that our I Teach TV network giveaway happened this week, and Sheila did the drawing last night. Hi Crystal. And there were 3 awesome winners, so I hope that you were a winner. Congratulations if you were. Be sure that you follow our new I Teach TV network page on Facebook. Martha, I know that the old scopes Sheila put onto YouTube, and I will be putting my scopes onto my blog. So check the blog, but be sure you catch the replays quickly within the 24 hours if it's something you're really interested in. But stay tuned for more information on how we will be keeping up with our scopes. But this week, be sure that you watch them quickly. So, my mission with this show is to help teachers and parents understand their students who might have different learning needs. Oh, Martha, this will be great. I'm so glad. Martha has got an awesome new job that maybe she'll tell you guys about. So, yes, Deb, I save all of my broadcasts to my camera roll. So let me jump in because this is a topic that I can get really passionate about and talk about a little bit too much. I teach mostly students with learning disabilities, and learning disabilities and attention deficit disorder tend to go hand in hand. All right, Senora Klesson, I hope that this will be helpful for you. So my mission is to help kids grow in confidence, because those kids that I work with tend to struggle in school. And the way that we have school set up these days is not necessarily the best for those ADHD learners. So, are those learners who need to move and groove a lot. So, the statistics say that about 10% of kids have ADHD. It's kind of hard to quantify. What it is some differences in the frontal part of the brain's functioning, the executive function, which controls focus, decision-making, impulsivity. Yes, Julie, that is one of the big things you'll see with kids with ADHD. They see, a lot of times kids with ADHD, especially as young students, will see challenges as roadblocks instead of opportunities for growth. And that's one of my missions, is to help my kids learn how to meet those things as challenges. ADHD is not a disability. I read a great book called Driven to Distraction. It's an awesome resource. If it's Hallowell, Ned Hallowell, I think. If I wasn't on camera, I would be able to tell you right away. And he says, he had Edward, thank you. And I think he goes by Ned too. I don't know. He says that he has ADHD, and he says that he views people without ADHD as having a surplus of attention. And you know, if you think about, if every little thing bothers you, and if you're really nitpicky, that could be viewed as a disability more than having ADHD. There are tons of successful entrepreneurs, famous athletes who have ADHD, Michael Phelps, Richard Branson. One of the gifts of ADHD is it gives people the ability to highly focus on areas of interest. And so a lot of those people that we see really become experts in their field have that narrow-minded focus that might come with ADHD. So it's definitely not a bad thing, and you want to teach your kids that too. Same with dyslexia, absolutely, Deb. So it is not a disability. Sometimes we can categorize students as having a disability so that they can get an individualized education plan, but I really don't think of ADHD as a disability in itself. It does create challenges in school, and I would like to share with you some things that you can do to help your students with ADHD be more successful in class, because I'm willing to bet that you have some students with ADHD in your classroom or at the very least some students with some issues focusing, paying attention, sitting still, that kind of thing. There's lots of different types of ADHD, but there's two major types. There's attention deficit hyperactive disorder, and then there's an ADHD where you're more inattentive. And a lot of people still call it ADHD inattentive type, but you won't see that hyper behavior. And sometimes those kids can fall through the cracks. It's just being daydreamers. They might be really well behaved but have a harder time keeping up with directions, or you might just think that they're slower learners when that might not be the case at all. So here are some strategies for success, and these will help all of the students in your classroom, but particularly those with those executive functioning disorders. Yes, if you have a kid with ADHD, you might see a really messy desk. You might see a resistance to doing work that they perceive as hard. You might see difficulty following the classroom routines. You might see a lot of movement. You might see them looking around the room instead of at you when you're giving instruction. You might see a lot of fidgeting. You might get a lot of unfinished work or work that's not turned in. And all of those are very, yes, Martha, blurting out can be really bad, and not wanting to do busy work phone call. So here are some things that you can do to really help those students be more successful. It's really important that kids with ADHD have a routine and know what to expect. So maintaining that classroom routine, having a morning ritual, and really keeping that kind of consistent, and explaining to kids when that is going to change. We have a lot of testing going on in our school building right now, and I have one classroom that I work in a lot with lots of kids with executive functioning issues, and this afternoon the teacher was like, what is going on? Well, this whole morning, the first hour and a half of their day was different than normal because we didn't do reading groups like we normally do. We pulled kids for testing and they had an economy lesson. Something like that most of us would just recover from quickly can really throw a kid off of their routine. So you need to explain, let them know what to expect, and really maintain that routine. Visuals are super important also with kids with executive functioning issues. I use time timers, which are visual timers. You can also this is an online stopwatch. It's a free resource, and I actually used it to keep up with my time on this scope. But if you go to onlinestopwatch.com, you can pick all different kinds, but this sand timer, I also have some real sand timers that I have found are really helpful for some of my kids with ADHD. This is one of my favorite things that I use in my class. When I ask a question, I hold up a stop and think. I also have like a red hand on a stick and then a green when I want them to answer. This gives the kids who are impulsive and want to call out a really clear visual not to call out, that's not what I want. And then the green gives them all a chance to answer as a team, and it also lets my kids who are slower processors have more think time. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. So yes, a lot of this, Martha, is stuff I've shared before in honor of Catch going away and me being a better scoper than I was in October when I did this scope for the first time. It's also really important with all kids, but especially your kids with ADHD who are probably in general a little less enthusiastic about school because they're having to do all the things that are hard for them for 6 hours straight, is really create buy-in by giving them a purpose for being there. Really, yes, Martha. So you really want to create relationships with those students. You want to build connections. And one of the things that I've shared before is to create professionals in training. Don't just say you need to do this because I'm the teacher. And oh, thank you, Asma. You don't want to say I'm the teacher and I said so. You want to say because we do a professional in training model in our classroom. So I talk to my kids about what their dreams are, what they would like to do in this world, what their favorite thing to do is, and they kind of create a vision of what they would see themselves doing in the future, and then we talk about being professionals and trainer. So if you want to be a professional football player, you need to finish school and do well and learn how to listen to your coach and follow directions quickly. So you can create buy-in with whatever their profession that they think they want to be in 2nd or 3rd grade or 5th grade or 6th grade. You can create that buy-in because there's connection with anything. And you really want to be careful not to discount their dreams. Really take that dream that they think they want to do and run with it and create buy-in all around that. My kids love to be called professionals in training. We've also really had success recently with kind of modeling the Ron Clark runners, riders, and walkers for Move Your Bus, and the runners keep the bus moving. And we have found that it is really successful in our classroom to run with the runners. Kids love being runners. Even the kids that were the most disengaged before, if we just say I'm running with my runners and that's who I'm going to pay attention to, I was really clear with my kids that a runner isn't necessarily the smartest and doesn't necessarily have the right answer all the time, but they're using their strategies, they're trying hard, they want to do their best on whatever the task is at hand. So running with the runners is a great strategy because we don't have time for walkers and riders on our bus. That has really saved me from trying to spend all my time pulling those disengaged kids who are just complaining and hitting roadblocks and not trying to overcome them. That's really helped me to be able to bring everyone up to the top. And usually we don't have any kids that are walking and riding all the time now. Everyone's rising to the top with that run with the runners thing. I found it really helpful in our classroom. Growth mindset and celebrating mistakes is so huge. Kids with ADHD, the nature of the beast is that they get called down a lot, they get corrected a lot, their name gets called all the time, and they don't associate that with good feelings. They associate that with, I'm doing something wrong again. So you want to be really clear to recognize behaviors and not people, and that goes along with responsive classroom. You want to do everything you can to pull the kids out of feeling like they're in shame and to celebrate what they're great at and to celebrate mistakes, because mistakes are how we learn. Yes, Deb, me too. I wish that growth mindset was more targeted in schools, but I'm so excited with how many teachers are learning about it and teaching kids about it. I really spend a lot of time teaching my kids about their brains, that the prefrontal cortex is where their executive function lives. So they kind of have the amygdala is the downstairs brain and the prefrontal cortex is the upstairs brain. And when they start to get out of control, they're flipping their lid. And we want to practice strategies to bring that lid back down. Go Noodle has some awesome mindfulness exercises that I really encourage you to check out. Go Noodle is free. And there are some great visualizations and empowerment exercises that really help with that. Be sure that you're not setting unrealistic expectations for your kids with ADHD. If it's really challenging for them to get started on work and they're not completing much work at all, like say they're completing 50% of their work now, trying to get them to complete 100% of their work by the end of the school year is not a realistic expectation. You want to meet them where they are and scaffold that instruction, because just like a student with a reading disability needs scaffolding and support to learn how to read, and you take it kind of one reading level at a time, with a kid with executive function disabilities or differences, we kind of expect, well, they should be able to focus, they should be able to pay attention, they're in third grade now, or whatever grade. But it is a true difference in the way their brain works, just like any other learning difference. So we need to meet them where they are and make gradual steps towards improvement.